Keep seeing my doppelganger and I'm becoming terrified. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but just bear with me. I'm hoping to really get some help on this, otherwise I have a strong feeling something horrible is gonna happen to me. I live in a pretty small town. One of those Southern American towns with just a Sonic, a Dollar General, and a Walmart. There's also a school and church, but other than that, yeah, pretty dead. I live with a roommate, RJ, and about a week ago, I told RJ I was headed to Walmart to pick up a new phone charger since mine had been iffy the last couple days. RJ just replied with bet as I walked out the door, and he continued cooking the spaghetti he had been making himself. It was about a 10-minute drive to Walmart, and once I pulled into the parking lot and turned my car off, I got a call from RJ. Yo, what was that about? He asked me. What? I replied, trying to think back to anything I could have said that would have sounded weird or anything before I left. Don't mess with me, dude. Come on, why'd you come back in and just look around? RJ said back. That reply made me sit up in my seat, trying to think on what the hell he was talking about. What are you talking about, RJ? I just pulled up to Walmart. I didn't come back inside for anything. Dude, I'm telling you, you did. You had a weird-ass look in your eye too, and when I asked what you were doing, you just looked at me all weird and walked back out the door. Are you okay or what? RJ asked in a confused, slightly concerning tone. I sat in silence in the car for a moment. What was RJ on? I was positive I didn't do that, but to be honest, I didn't think too much of it at first. Are you sure you saw me and not someone else? Did one of the guys maybe come by, and you just thought it was me? I asked. It wasn't too uncommon for friends of ours to show and just walk through the door. In my mind that was the only logical explanation I could think of. Ryan, stop fucking with me. It was you that came back in, you looked me dead in my eyes and then just walked out after I said something. You're telling me that wasn't you. RJ sounded frustrated, like he didn't believe that I wasn't there. I ended up FaceTiming him to show him that I was indeed at Walmart and not fucking with him. When he saw I was there, his voice changed to be a little more concerned, seeing as to how it was a 10-minute drive there and whoever he saw had just left a couple minutes ago. We talked about the incident some more, even getting to the point of laughing about it, and then I hung up. I did try to think about what he could have seen, but the only two explanations that made any sense to me were that either he saw someone else and just mistaken them for me, or that he was just messing with me. But nonetheless, I went into Walmart, bought what I needed, left and had a good rest of my day. The next incident came that night, after RJ told me he was going to bed, and I stayed up scrolling through Instagram. About 30 minutes after RJ went to his room, he came out again and seemed like he was about to head out the door, but stopped suddenly when he saw me in the living room, sitting in my recliner. What's up? RJ asked. He said it like he had expected me to say something, like I needed something. Huh? I asked, confusion taking over my face. What did you need to show me? I thought you were outside. RJ said. I was as confused as ever, and could only muster out that I didn't know what he was talking about. Ryan, you gotta stop, man. I get it, you wanna mess with me, but I got work in the morning, man. RJ said. I began to become irritated as well as confused. I could tell RJ was sincere about what he was saying. I knew he wasn't messing with me. I asked what he was talking about, and he sighed and told me that I had called him a few minutes ago, and told him I wanted to meet him outside, that I had something to show him. I stood up from the recliner as I thought back to the incident earlier that day, and started becoming nervous. I told him I didn't call him and told him to pull out his phone and show me, as I brought mine up and went to my recent calls to prove to him I, in fact, didn't. He showed me his recent calls and the screen showed that my name was at the top, and that it had called him a few minutes ago. I took his phone and opened the info to the call. Although my name was there, the number attached to it was not mine. I showed him the number, as well as my own phone's call history, showing my phone never called his. We both exchanged glances at each other, and I could see the nervousness in his eyes, and I'm sure he could see it in mine too. I explained the number that called his wasn't mine, and he took his phone back and called the number back, putting the phone on speaker. We both stood in silence, as it rang and rang, but nobody ever picked up and the number didn't have a voicemail either. He hung up and put his phone in his pocket. So the voice just sounded like mine. I asked RJ as I walked over to the door and opened it, looking out into the yard and flipping on the porch light, looking around. I heard RJ come up behind me to look outside as well as he replied nervously with I mean. I guess so, but, Ryan, it sounded just like you, and I mean just like you. RJ started checking the windows and locking them all, and I closed the door, turned off the porch light, and locked it. I contemplated calling the cops, but RJ said there was nobody outside and maybe it was just one of our friends or some stranger pranking us. After talking about it for a bit, I finally brought up the elephant in the room. What if it was that same person that came into the house today? I asked. RJ looked at me and then suddenly looked a lot more nervous than he was a second ago. So you think that there's someone out there who looks like you, sounds like you, and wants to pull some elaborate, creepy prank on us or something? RJ asked. I don't know, man, but someone is doing something alright, and I don't like this shit. I replied. We finally agreed that if one more creepy incident like the two today happened again, we would get the cops involved and try to file a harassment charge. After the discussion, RJ went back to bed, and I stayed up watching YouTube, kind of freaked out on the inside, but hoping we had seen the last of it. Things only got weirder after that. Over the next few days, I would get calls and texts from my friends and even my boss asking me why I was calling them, asking them to meet somewhere or talk to them before hanging up. I tried telling them it wasn't me and explained to them that someone had been messing with me for the past few days. I did call the cops when I got sick of it happening, and the police took my information and my stories and told me that they would get back to me if they found anything, and if I come across this twin of mine, to call them back immediately. Despite the cops getting involved, I didn't feel any safer. Last night, something happened that would make me question the supernatural, something I didn't believe in and something I hadn't even considered until then. I was sitting at home watching a movie with RJ, and I got a text from my mom. It was around 8 o'clock at night, and I didn't usually get texts from her that late at night. I looked at the text. It simply read, "You okay in there?" I asked my mom what she was talking about, and she replied back with, "You've just been in there for a little bit. I wanted to make sure you didn't die on the toilet like Elvis," my mom said with a bunch of laughing emojis. My mind went into panic mode. I showed my phone to RJ as I put on my shoes, and he started doing the same. Called my mom as RJ and I went running out to my car. It took a while, but I finally convinced her to leave the house and go to the neighbors and to call the cops, telling her of the experiences I'd been having. As she was leaving the house, I also told her to watch the house in case the imposter left. She lived about 20 minutes away, but I got there in 15 since I hit the gas and sped my way over there. I arrived to the house about the same time as the police did, and my mom and I explained the situation to them on the neighbor's doorstep. They told us to hang tight as they went in and searched the house. My mom was freaked out, and I was too. RJ didn't look any better. My mom's neighbor offered us all a cigarette to calm our nerves, and although none of us are smokers, we all took one as we waited and discussed what was happening. The police came back to the neighbor's porch where we were sitting and told us they hadn't found anybody, and that they had searched every nook and cranny of the house. I cursed under my breath, and my mom said she didn't see anybody leave. When the police left, RJ, my mom and I went back into my mom's house, and I figured the imposter had just snuck out of one of the windows, sneaking away undetected. All three of us went around the house, checking to see which windows were left unlocked. But that's where the freakiest fact of the matter came into light. There weren't any. All of the doors and windows, except the front door, where my mom had left, were all perfectly locked. We checked to see if maybe the locks were fucked up and could have been opened anyways, but none did, no matter how much pressure we added. I asked my mom if she had watched the house like I asked, and she said she had. Our neighbors across the street even had security cameras that faced her house, and today I went over to ask them if I could take a look to see if anybody had left while my mom may not have been looking last night. Nobody did. The video showed my mom running to the neighbors next door, all the way up to me arriving. Nobody left the house. Nobody came. I was freaked out beyond anything I'd ever felt. I got back home, not too long ago from that. RJ is at work, and I've got the entire house locked. I'm hoping nothing else happens, because I honestly do not know what the hell to do. I Googled theories and came across the concept of doppelgangers and read people's stories of interacting with them. As scary and outlandish as it seems, I think that's what's been going on. As to why me, and why now, I have no idea. If anybody has anything for me, please let me know. I can't take much more of this. I'm scared whoever this is might go from harassment and creepiness to something worse. God, I hope not. I've checked up on my family and friends today, just to make sure they were all okay. I can tell RJ is still shaken, and I don't blame him. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe.